Good evening, I'm John Carter and welcome to Poland Daily. Marek Magierowski, the Polish ambassador to Israel, has been attacked in front of the Polish embassy in Tel Aviv. According to Israeli media, Magierowski was spat on and pelted with insults by a man identified as Arek Glederman, a known Israeli architect. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki spoke out strongly against the attack. The Israeli ambassador to Poland, Ania Azari, was called to the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
The racist attack against the Polish ambassador to Israel is unacceptable. We will not allow for any acts of xenophobia, be it against our diplomats or any other Polish citizen. I was upset to hear about yesterday's incident in Israel, during which the Polish ambassador, Marek Magierowski, was attacked. I strongly oppose and condemn these acts of violence. Israel expresses its full sympathy with the Polish ambassador and shock at the attack. Israeli police currently investigating. We'll update our Polish friends. This is a top priority to us, as we are fully committed to diplomats' safety and security. The Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs has requested an explanation. The Polish government demands the perpetrator to be brought to justice. Ambassador Azari was called to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to clarify the situation.
The agenda of today's lower house Polish Parliament session was stripped of the first reading of a bill draft prepared by Kukiz 15 Club. The bill is designed to protect Poland from right-to-ownership claims by Jewish organisations of heirless property left by victims of the Holocaust. The writers of the law, the Kukiz 15 politicians, say that the withdrawal of the project is a sign of subservience to Israel and Jewish communities.
The Kukiz 15 movement bill, known as Anti-447, was supposed to get to the first reading, but the senior ranking members committee decided in the morning to remove it from the agenda. There have been various explanations given. They just want to rock the boat. There is no basis for any payments for reparations. Poland is not a perpetrator. We are the victim. We will not pay anyway. We do not have anything to pay for. The removal of the Anti-447 Act from the agenda was also criticized by the Confederation Party, which hopes to collect signatures under a similar grassroots bill. The Law and Justice Party is behaving very strangely in this matter. A strange day. The bill was supposed to be on the agenda. It is not here. We have the incident with the Polish ambassador being beaten up in Israel. Mrs. Mosbacher says yesterday on TV and television that nothing is going on. In my opinion, however, a lot is going on. The matter was also criticized by Civic Platform Party. This is another sign of the Law and Justice Party running a bad foreign policy, that they have a problem with Israel and the USA, and there is no question of them getting up from their knees is apparent. The Kukiz 15 movement was supposed to be a possible ally of the Law and Justice Party after the parliamentary elections. Today, members of this group did not hide their frustration with the change in the agenda of the same. We do not envision being a coalition party now that it is subservient to Israel and the parliament is already a Knesset. The American side ensures that the JUST Act, commonly referred to as S-447, does not impose any financial or legal burden. The State Department is to present a report to the US Congress of the progress of the country's compliance with the so-called Terrorism Declaration regarding restitution of heirless property left over from victims of the Holocaust. On the other hand, Jewish organizations and representatives of the Israeli government are not hiding the fact that their aim is to make claims against Poland.
The final report from the Parliamentary Commission investigating the Amber Gold financial fraud scandal has been released. It states that Marcin P. was a straw person and the state, implying the secret services, have completely failed in their duties. The Polish financial company, liquidated in 2012, turned out to be a pyramid scheme that cost many Poles their life savings. The report shines a particularly negative light on the work of state officials at the time, pointing out many malpractices and negligence.
Skrajnie źle oceniamy przede wszystkim działalność
We evaluate the work of the police and secret services, especially led by Minister Jacek Cichocki, as extremely bad. Firstly, Minister Cichocki said nothing about the case during the parliamentary debate on July 30, 2012. And secondly, he gave false information to the parliament and in turn to the public opinion that the secret services conducted analytical investigation of all the Amber Gold companies since March of 2012. The Amber Gold scandal showed that the prosecution at that time was unable to get to the bottom of the most important crimes, unable to conduct difficult investigations and unable to draw conclusions from such cases, which is best exemplified by the disciplinary actions that are being taken right now. After 3 years of leading this commission, I have no doubt that Marcin P. was the so-called straw person. He was indeed a person who was leading the company, but he definitely didn't come up with the idea for this scheme and wasn't the man in charge. Please look at the part of the report showing the testimony of Marcin P. in front of the commission. Let me remind you, when he was asked whether he was in charge and if he was a straw person, there was a long moment of silence, after which he responded, "I abstained from answering that question." The matter of Amber Gold's fraud in the aviation industry hadn't been touched on until the change of government from the Civic Platform to the Law and Justice Party. It's being done now. Several people are already facing charges in connection to this, and all the investigations are ongoing.
skutkiem już jest kilka zarzutów dla osób w tym uczestniczących.
The Justice Tribunal of the European Union has held yet another hearing about Poland, Czech Republic and Hungary. The European Commission has stated that the countries failed to meet requirements for the programme of dividing asylum applicants in accordance with the Union quota following the 2015 migrant crisis. The respective countries say that the forced resettlement violated their government's sovereignty in determining who has the right to live in their countries, and the programme simply did not work. Wojciech Koszczak has more.
Pomimo tego, że unijny system relokacji już dawno przestał.
The EU relocation program expired a long time ago, but Poland, the Czech Republic and Hungary are being brought to the European Court of Justice by the European Commission. Most commentators agree that the possible verdict will have only a symbolic value, but there is also the risk that the European Court will hand out financial penalties to the three countries concerned, and it would mean they have to take in migrants anyway. The Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs says they are prepared for this possibility.
Kary finansowe dla tych trzech państw, a to oznacza, że de facto
The relocation program is practically dead now. Not only Poland, but also other countries declared they would not fulfill it in the way it was agreed in September 2015. And we are consistent and will not admit migrants in the framework of the relocation scheme, because this is not efficient and it is not moving us closer to completion of our goal. Moreover, it's also jeopardizing the security strategy that the Polish government is pursuing. Poland will not perform this mechanism.
Polski rząd uczynił bardzo dobrze.
The Polish government is doing the right thing by not accepting this mechanism, not accepting the quotas of immigrants that are forced upon us. And I think it was a good move for the European Council to fix the previous settlement regarding the forced relocation of refugees. I think that case is closed and this attempt to punish Poland is a way of getting bloody revenge on the country.
Krwawej zemsty.
Jeżeli tworzymy wspólnotę, to ja uważam, że powinniśmy myśleć też w kategoriach solidarności.
If we are a community, I think we should think in terms of solidarity. Can we imagine a situation when for some reason hundreds of thousands of people rush from Central Asia through Russia into Poland and we receive no basic solidarity from the other countries of the European Union? Speaking mildly, it will be a very sad occurrence.
Solidarności od państw pozostałych Unii Europejskiej.
przypomnijmy, że unijny system relokacji
The European Union relocation system was devised for about 120,000 of the so-called refugees who arrived to Italy and Greece in 2015. According to an agreement signed by Eva Kopacz, Poland was to receive around 7,000 people, but in reality most of the EU member states failed to stick to their commitments, and only 32,000 migrants were taken into the EU countries. Some of them took only a handful of refugees to avoid the trouble that Poland, the Czech Republic and Hungary are now in. The ruling of the court will be made this fall, days before the parliamentary election in Poland.
w polskiej sprawie poznamy jesienią tego roku, chwilę przed wyborami parlamentarnymi w naszym kraju.
Alabama's state senate have passed a bill outlawing nearly all abortions, with exceptions only in place to protect the mother's health. The bill is part of a multi-state effort to have the US Supreme Court reconsider a woman's constitutional right to an abortion.
Alabama lawmakers passed a bill on Tuesday that would criminalize nearly all abortions in the state. It will be the strictest bill in the nation, banning all abortion unless the woman's life is in danger. The law, passed by a vote of 25 to 6, would take effect 6 months after being signed by Republican Governor Kay Ivey. Protesters rallied against the bill ahead of the vote, with some dressed as women from the TV drama The Handmaid's Tale. The law is certain to face legal challenges from the American Civil Liberties Union and other groups who have vowed to sue. It comes after 4 states approved so-called heartbeat bills this year that outlaw abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. The Alabama bill goes further, banning abortions at any time and punishing those who perform the procedure with imprisonment. Governor Ivey hasn't said whether she would sign Alabama's bill if it got to her desk, but she is known to be a strong opponent of abortion. A total of 16 US states have introduced bills to restrict abortion rights this year, with many conservative state legislators feeling emboldened with the US Supreme Court holding a solid conservative majority.
Thank you very much for joining me here this evening at Poland Daily. I'm John Carter. Stay tuned after the break for Poland Daily Weather. It's followed by the business, culture, history and finally the travel.
Welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. A rainy night across the country with temperatures ranging between 2 degrees in Zielona Góra to 9 degrees in Białystok. Sky without rain is expected around Koszalin and Szczecin. Now over to tomorrow. Lots of rainfall will appear on the southeast. We can expect sunlight across the country as well. The temperatures will range from 15 degrees in Zielona Góra to 19 degrees on the south. Let's see the forecast for the following 3 days. Friday will be a stormy day as well. More sunlight is expected on the north. On Saturday, temperatures will rise to 24 degrees. Little storm will appear around Rzeszów, but otherwise it will be a very sunny day. On Sunday, temperature will range from 22 to 25 degrees. Pressure will fall. Rainfall will stay with us. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Poland Daily Business Edition, tonight at the European Economic Congress in Katowice. We will talk about Warsaw Stock Exchange with its president, Dr. Marek Dietl. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me here.
That's our pleasure. And let us start from the point of view of a foreign investor who looks at Europe, where to park his money in order to multiply them. Why Warsaw?
Warsaw Stock Exchange mirrors not only Polish economy but also CE. We are really CE hub, Central Eastern European hub for financial markets, and we are also very much focused on SME. So if you look for high growth companies from SME sector, Warsaw is the place to be. We have more issuers than, for example, Deutsche Börse. We have 4 times higher GDP growth. So the story is Central and Eastern European ideas, and so New Europe ideas, Old Europe money. And also we are, from the institutional point of view, on par with the best stock exchanges, capital markets in Europe or in the world, what was conferred by FTSE Russell, awarding us with developed market status. FTSE Russell looks a lot into the institution, how clearing is organized, how settlement, what are the trading conditions, and in all these 21 criteria we are in line with the world standards.
Well, let's stay a little bit with foreign investors or foreign from various points of view, not only European Union but countries outside of this. Is there any logic that the companies from other countries are listing in Warsaw Stock Exchange?
Yeah, when you look at our neighbors, we have frontier markets like Belarus or Ukraine. We have emerging markets like Romania or even still Hungary. So we are really the gateway to this developed market investors, and 3/4 of all the capital, the global capital, is somehow bound to invest only in developed markets. So we are, for neighbors, a gateway to those money. But we also witness more and more companies coming from not only from east and south from Poland, but also from west. We recently received one issuer, American company, high-tech American company, because in some niches, especially in computer gaming, except of Hong Kong, we are the #1 venue for listing, and more companies from this industry are looking at our market as the multipliers are very attractive for the issuers.
Well, last year we had the example when a company called CD Projekt gained value that exceeded the value of Polish mining giant KGHM, and that was absolutely stunning, because I personally knew the founders of CD Projekt since the time we've been sailing in the Mazuri lakes.
Well, this is the power of globalization. Simply, the computer games are appealing to all the people around the world. Even if they are in their respective market, like number 5, number 6, they still become huge company. And also, their growth, their upside is actually unlimited with new production coming into the market. Also there is a great benefit for them that they started relatively late, so they already applied very modern technologies. And some people ask me why the Polish gaming companies are valued more than, for example, Japanese one with the whatever 30 or 25 years in the market. And I say it's very simple, because Japanese companies, to change all the game portfolio into new technologies, it will require huge investments, and also there will be some problems with compatibility. When they started relatively late with very modern technologies, they are ahead of some of their competitors. And also the Polish gaming industry benefits from long tradition of Polish film industry, because games and films are somehow related productions, and we have extremely good track record of not only famous directors and Oscar winner, but also producing of movies for companies around the world.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And that was it for Poland Daily Business.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Lots of rainfall will appear on the southeast. We can expect sunlight across the country as well. The temperature will range from 15 degrees in Zielona Góra to 19 degrees on the south. And now let's see the forecast for our continent. In the Balkans, temperature will range from 22 to 25 degrees in Sofia. Temperature will little fall in Scandinavia to 16 in Oslo and Stockholm and 13 in Helsinki. In British Islands we may expect plenty of sunlight. There the temperature will range from 16 to 17 degrees in London. The hottest capital will be Madrid and Lisbon, with temperature about 30 degrees. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
It was first built between 1671 and 1679 by Stanisław Heraclius Lubomirski to designs by the Dutch architect Tilman van Gameren. This complex included a garden. The town had passed to the Sieniawski family by 1706, when the palace and its surroundings were destroyed by Swedish troops during the Great Northern War. Reconstruction began under Elżbieta Sieniawska in 1722. Soon afterwards, Maria Zofia Czartoryska married August Alexander Czartoryski, and between 1731 and 1736, they built a new Rococo palace on the site to designs by Jan Zygmunt Debel. At the turn of the 18th and 19th centuries, Puławy was the center of political, cultural, and literary life. It happened thanks to Adam Kazimierz Czartoryski and his wife Isabella from Fleming, who brought the most outstanding artists, Jan Piotr Norblin, writers, Julian Ursin Nimcewicz, and architects, Christian Piotr Eigner, to the Puławski court. It was here, in the Temple of Sibyl of 1801 and the Gothic House of 1809, that the Duchess created the first museum in Poland. It has become the nucleus of a great collection cultivated to this day. At the end of the November uprising, the Czartoryski property was confiscated, and the Czartoryski family emigrated to Paris. In Puławy, the Alexandria Institute for the Education of Maidens was established, and subsequently the Polytechnic and Agricultural Forestry Institute and the Institute of Rural Land and Forests. Currently, the owner of the palace and park complex is the Institute of Soil Science.
Welcome to another episode of Poland Daily Culture. Today we will be exploring the history of the Czartoryski family at their palace in Puławy, Poland. Let's go inside.
What is this room that we are in right now?
Znajdujemy się w sali rycerskiej.
We are in the so-called the Room of the Knights. We actually don't know why this room is called that way. When the Czartoryski family lived here, the room functioned as a game room or a playroom for teenagers who came here to Puławy. It functioned also as a room for service. Now it's a museum's exhibition.
Można zobaczyć tę przepiękną czerwoną kamizelkę z okresu Księstwa Warszawskiego.
We see all kinds of vests in front of us. We can see a beautiful red vest from the times of the Duchy of Warsaw. It was called a smaller uniform. Let's have a look at another exhibition.
Pamiątki emaliowane.
Princess Izabela Czartoryska collected all kinds of different things. In this exhibition, we see enabled keepsakes and a glass, which was used to make a toast by all kinds of craftsmen associations.
Później dostała się go do kolekcji Czartoryskich.
Let's have a look at the next one. Quite an interesting keepsake. It got to the Czartoryskis' collection a little bit later than other keepsakes, because it's a relic of Princess Izabela Descens. It's an amazing writing table decorated with elements made out of marble. It can be called as a stone of the ruins. It forms all kinds of scenery on its top. That's why it's called a landscape stone. Let's move to other exhibitions.
Przejdziemy nieco dalej do kolejnej gabloty. Tu w tej części gabloty możemy zobaczyć.
Here we can see all kinds of portraits, miniatures, which Princess Izabela collected with passion. This is just a small part of the original collection. We can see most of it in Krakow. And here we have portraits of distinguished Poles: Queen Marie Leszczyńska, King Augustus III, Tadeusz Matuszewicz, or Mikołaj Sarbiewski. Let's move to other exhibition, which includes arts and crafts things.
Czy też chociażby Mikołaj Sarbiewski. Przejdziemy do kolejnej gabloty. Przedmioty rzemiosła artystycznego właśnie.
Behind the glass we can see all kinds of things made out of silver. Mugs bejeweled with coins, ivory things, especially small things arouses interest of the visitors. Exhibit number 2, Maria Sieniowska's small globe. Some say that it has a little mirror inside. Let's have a look at another exhibit.
Że może być w nim też lustereczko umieszczone. Przejdziemy teraz do kolejnej części ekspozycji i pokażę portrety. Księżna Izabela Czartoryska.
Where I say a few words about portraits who used to be hanged in the Gothic house. In the Gothic house, Princess Izabela Czartoryska put uncountable amount of portraits, among others, portraits of dramatists. Here are portraits of the French writers, Roselyne, Molière, and La Fontaine. It's important to say that Princess Isabella had in her collection the most known throughout Poland piece of art, and that's the Lady with the Ermine, painted by Leonardo da Vinci. It used to hang in the room called the Green Room, along with the portrait of the Chancellor of France, which was described as the portrait of the Cardinal Macarini. Then we have a portrait of the Polish poem Franciszek Dionizy Kniaźnin.
Nieco dalej też jest portret poety polskiego Franciszka Dionizego Kniaźnina. W gablocie zaś
In this exhibition we can see a jewel case which used to belong to Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a poet and a philosopher.
Filozofa Jana Jakuba Rousseau. Idziemy dalej. Tu w gablocie mamy umieszczone takie plakiety czy też płaskorzeźby zdjęte.
Here we have a bas relief taken from the church in Kalisz. Princess Isabella got these bas reliefs from the poet Julian Ursyn Niemcewicz. One of them presents an execution, the other the caption of a saint. Now let's have a look at exhibits connected to Czartoryski family. We have here caps which used to belong to grenadiers of the Czartoryski family's police officers. All of them have coats of arms of the Czartoryski family on them.
Czy też przybocznej milicji czartoryskich zwieńczone herbami, czyli herb Pogoń, herb rodziny Czartoryskich.
Or this court drum of the Czartoryski family's police. We can see on it the Pogoń coat of arms of the Czartoryski family as well. The Czartoryski family's coat of arms was very beautiful. Unfortunately, it's a little bit destroyed, but it still enraptures most of the visitors.
Większość zwiedzających.
Bardzo pani dziękuję.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us today and see you soon on our next episode of Poland Daily Culture. Goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poland Daily History. Today we are at the city of Warsaw, particularly the region that was transformed into the Jewish ghetto during the Second World War by the German occupants. Today we will be speaking with our guest, Mr. Artur Grubniewski, a tourist guide and historian about the 1,000 years of Polish Jewish history. When we are talking about Polish-Jewish relationship, one of the things I really like to go into are the prominent figures that kind of promulgates these kind of interactions. And I was wondering if you can tell me some of the prominent figures and some of the more prominent Polish Jews that left a significant impact on the country.
So after we talked through very important people when it comes to maybe economy or another industries, then now maybe we will mention someone who was extremely important when it comes to our moral spine.
Right, okay.
Janusz Korczak comes to my mind first. So his original surname was Goldschmidt, so that he obviously has Jewish roots. Even though these were Jews of his time who did not really claim that he is Jewish, but it was a very internal thing. It's very nice to discuss on that. But what was most important is what Janusz Korczak did. He was running an orphanage. And there were homeless children that he was taking care of, not only in a way that he was providing them bed and breakfast, he was also their father. He was also their teacher. And the orphanage of the Jewish children was inside the ghetto during World War II. And one day there was a decision from German forces that all the children must be transported to Treblinka. So straight to the death camp. So these 200 children were supposed to go to the railway station of the Umschlagplatz.
Right.
They walked majority of the streets of the ghetto. All the people in the ghetto could see them from outside their windows, little children. And Janusz Korczak didn't have to go with them, but he went with them. All the way to the railway station, inside the train, and to the gas chambers. He was holding the youngest child on his hands. And to make children feel comfortable, he explained them that they are going on the holidays, that they are going on vacation. And he went with them to the gas chamber and died over them with them in Treblinka, so that nowadays, when we sightsee the Museum of Treblinka, which is about huge monument, because there are no original buildings, facilities left over there. There are stones, thousands of stones, with names of the cities from where Jewish families were transported to Treblinka. There are names of the countries. Even Thessaloniki, Greece ghetto was emptied and the transportation went to Treblinka. And there is only one stone with a name and the surname of a person. And that's Janusz Korczak. And children. It's written Janusz Korczak I dzieci, which means Janusz Korczak and the children. So in Jewish culture, a stone is a very significant thing. Christian Catholics put candles on graves of their forefathers. I think many people do it. But Jews put stones because a stone is everlasting, just as the memory should be everlasting. And then next to this stone of Janusz Korczak, there are thousands of little stones that people bring themselves from Israel all around the world, or they just found a little stone in close neighborhood and they put it over there at Janusz Korczak commemoration. And sometimes it's so touching for my guests that I just understand. I think that all the tour guides understand that this is a moment when we should just give ourselves a little time. I think that it's very important not only to talk, but also it's very important to listen.
Many Polish Jews were very prominent figures within their fields of expertise, whether it was mathematics, physics, or culture. Some of them became famous while living in Poland. Others were acknowledged after having moved abroad. Next up, we will continue to talk with Mr. Groniewski about Polish Jews who have become household names in the world. I was hoping you can maybe give me more names and more backstories.
I will be happy to do so. So how about Władysław Szpilman that we meet in the movie The Pianist of Roman Polanski? Some of these elements of that movie were done in Warsaw, just as Władysław Szpilman decided to stay in Warsaw after World War II, an amazing pianist who survived extremely difficult life in the ghetto. And we watch this movie, The Pianist, which describes that life. So I am highly encouraging everyone who watches this program just to watch this movie, because you will be given a possibility to listen also to Frédéric Chopin music. When it comes to the ghetto history, Adam Czerniaków. And this is how we are coming back to our moral spine history, because in territory of Jewish ghetto, Germans ordered that there must be a Jewish unit that takes care of everything. So there was Jewish police and like the Jewish administrator of the ghetto. So Adam Czerniaków was just trying to do his best to enable imprisoned Jews a good life. And of course, it was extremely difficult. Sometimes even people were coming to his window in the middle of the night and screaming and asking for some bread. So he was even trying to, having nothing, he still wanted to share it. And then, when he was given an order that he must organize the transportations to the east, he committed a suicide because he knew that he would participate in worst thing that we can imagine in the world's history. He could presume that these people will be transported to death places, and he didn't want to organize it, and that's why he committed a suicide. So look, we have this Masada that we talked about a few episodes ago. If people were supposed to choose slavery or wars to the Romans, they decided to commit a suicide. There is Mordechai Anielewicz, who blew all thing up instead of being caught. We have Adam Czerniaków. So this is an amazing story.
As we can see, Poland has been for centuries the safe haven for Jews fleeing persecution. During the 18th and 19th centuries, the city has the largest amount of Jewish population in all of Europe. The two nations coexisted in peace until the Germans conducted the Holocaust. That's it for today. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
Łazienki Park, Łazienki Park Królewskie. Those names mean something to everyone in Poland. This green expanse is inseparable from the history not only of Warsaw, but of the country. It is here that leisure time is spent by families, friends, lovers, students, and sportsmen. It's a park for everyone, but it didn't start out that way. It started out as the very special province of the Lubomirski family. Later, King Poniatowski made the park his own, and it was really during the late 18th century that the greater proportion of buildings were constructed. There is the Palace on the Water, of course, a classic building of its kind, not only in Poland, but in Europe. The palace seems to float on an island in its reflecting pools. Meanwhile, the 70-odd park is a conglomeration of forest and lake and sculpted gardens, dominated on one end by the ancient Ujazdowski Castle and on the other by the Belvedere Palace, the residence of the president. The park remains the greenest spot in any city in Poland, and as a park comparable to the best of those in any capital in Europe. So sit back as Poland Daily Travel takes you for a tour of the highlights of Łazienki Park in the heart of beautiful downtown Warsaw. Poland Daily Travel brings you the best and most comprehensive programming about travel in Poland that you're ever likely to find. Watch Poland Daily Travel and like us on YouTube, and if you really like us, subscribe. So let's watch A Walk in the Park with Poland Daily Travel in Łazienki Królewskie in beautiful downtown Warsaw. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Poland Daily. Finally, we're getting to the crux of the matter, the heart of the matter, which is the Palace on the Water, which really is the focus of the whole park here. It's a big park, but the Palace on the Water is the showpiece and has been for at least 2 centuries. It's right behind us, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We're going to go around and see the other side next, so stay with us. But
one thing.
You want to tell me about some suppers or something?
Yeah.
Some Thursday suppers?
Thursday supper is a nice way to twist it.
Okay.
So, we will be speaking about the weekly events that the last Polish king, Poniatowski, would arrange. And the idea is to gather a lot of very, very knowledgeable people around at the dinner, because the king is very, very much aware that he's living in the times of the Enlightenment.
Okay.
And he's no longer the smartest person in the room every time. This is why he must seek counsel of other people. And now, there are Thursday dinners arranged, the people are coming, but the question is, where is the food coming from? That's
well, who
one
are the
thing.
people that he's inviting? Are they artists?
That would
and
be
writers,
generals, writers, people that
Artists,
are very brainy from their discipline.
Okay.
Particular people, Hugo Kołłątaj was one of the people that would arrange the first. Hugo Kołłątaj would be one of the people that were very, very strongly attached to create the first Committee of National Education.
Okay.
Right? So such people that they do understand and respect the value of knowledge.
Good. Now, you're going to ask me the next question. weren't you?
Exactly. And I was speaking that the food is supposed to be delivered. After all, it's...
No, didn't they cook in there? It's a
And
big
that's
palace.
the question. I
They
would
didn't
like
cook
you to
inside?
know that there is one room from this palace that is missing, that is in every household that we would have in the modern times.
Ah, the media room.
Not really.
Not
I
the
mean,
media room?
as much
That's something we would have nowadays.
as much as
They didn't have that.
18th century is they didn't have a
There's no
chance.
media room.
But I'm speaking about the kitchen.
Ah, they didn't have a kitchen. And
The
reason-
heart.
I know why they didn't have a kitchen, because they were afraid it might burn down.
That's one thing. That's
Yeah.
one thing, and absolutely you're correct.
Because that's the same in all the old houses. yeah.
But in here also, the king was very, very delicate, and there is another factor, the second one,
What
the
is it?
smell.
Ah, it could be the food smell.
I mean, let's prepare fish today.
No, we can't have
Would
that.
the king fancy the idea? Not
No,
really.
not
So
really.
this is why the
Good
king,
Lord. What is that putrid smell?
and that's something that all the servants would not
Is
like
that
to
how
hear.
king would talk?
Not
Yeah.
really.
Not really.
Not
Not
this.
really.
Not
Not
this
this
one.
king.
Not this
He
one.
was like, what is that putrid smell?
More
like
in
that.
this way.
He was a bit weak.
But let's say
But
his,
Jan Sobieski would have said, bring me the head.
and he would have
of
the
this
build
chef.
of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, he was a
Right?
tough guy.
Absolutely.
All right.
But we speak that there is the kitchen missing, so where the food is coming from. And we have the palace here, we have the ballroom, the dining room,
Right.
all the rooms, and the
Okay.
kitchen is just at the opposite
The
side.
kitchen's there, and the kitchen's a huge building, actually.
Once you're looking at it, then it's only natural to say so. But speaking openly, only the middle part containing the clock would be around in the times of the king.
Ah, the rest of it's been expanded
It's an attachment.
to do something else. What is a museum now?
It is a museum, and all the buildings on the territory of the park are having a status of a public spot, right?
Okay.
So there are museums, pastries, and
Places to eat.
places to visit.
Patisserie, you mean?
Patisseries
Is
as
that
well.
what you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What do you mean by pastry?
Like a pastry where you can have all the different kinds of donuts, sweets, cakes.
Patisserie.
Patisseries.
Yeah. We use the French word.
No problem.
What do you call it? I don't know. A sweet. A
Cukiernia.
baker. A baker.
Piekarnia in Polish.
A baker. A
Yeah.
baker. Piekarnia, yeah.
If
right.
you prefer.
Okay, good. So, okay, that's the kitchen. That's the palace. Let's go see the palace.
The very
stay with-
entrance.
Right, stay with us. Okay, so here we are. We're standing on the side of the palace on the water. We can't be in the entrance right now because there's some kind of event taking place here. It looks like it might be some fashion show or something. The palace itself is a very popular place for events. It's often rented out to people wanting to do some kind of event here. The interior is absolutely beautiful, and with frescoes and beautiful furniture. It looks like some kind of, the really classical 18th century interior, and it's well worth coming here and going inside to see it. We'll try and show you a few pictures as well. But the reason we're out here is to talk a little bit more about
the background. Why is this palace so very, very important to Warsaw?
Yeah.
And
Why is
speaking openly, we need to make a statement in terms of how is the Nazi army coming to Warsaw. A lot of people may think that once the war is starting, then we have a massive force of destruction coming that's leaving nothing behind. The truth is that it's not like this. Well, the Second World War starts, and the idea coming from the Nazi side is to overpower the whole eastern part of Europe and making Warszawa converted to become Warsaw. It's supposed to be adopted. So, I would like you to know that this whole territory of the park, including the very palace, everything was treated as a Nazi district, and it has not been touched by any war activity. This makes this whole place very, very unique. The palace itself has not been destroyed. But there is very big one, big but, I mean, in here. The situation during the Second World War changes a little bit in the year of 1942. We are going to have, maybe you've watched a movie called The Enemies at the Gates.
Yeah, that's about Stalingrad.
About Stalingrad.
About snipers in Stalingrad.
Indeed, yeah. So, if our audience have not watched it, strong recommendation.
Yeah, it's a really interesting film.
One important thing from that movie, Stalingrad is taken under siege, but the Nazis are not successful. They bump, and then they return. And the Russians, they chase them, which...
All the way back to Poland.
All the way back to Poland. Okay. So, in one moment in 1942, what happens? We hire the Nazi here, and the Russians just across the river. And the Nazi, once they know what's the situation, they do not keep this land. They take everything what's at the interior, what's presenting value. And in this way, we are going to have these objects and the Nazi army leaving the park. They leave it, but before they escape, they put fire at the interior. Right, so everything
They set it on fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But one more thing, before they would actually put fire inside, they were preparing to have it blown up. But as the Russians came sooner than expected, then there are only holes drilled on the building that I would like you to take a quick look at.
Okay, let's have a look. Show me.
There were supposed to be these dynamite sticks inside installed. These very holes are the ones
Here are the holes,
that I have on my mind, indeed. So there are 5 holes here. There are also 5. There's another set of 5 holes and the other location on the wall. But the good thing, the holes were drilled. Everything is prepared.
Right.
The Russians are coming sooner than expected, and this is what makes the whole palace not to be destroyed. The Nazis do not finish the undertaking, and this is what makes the whole palace to survive, and this is what we call today as the pearl of this city's architecture.
The pearl of the city's architecture.
Absolutely.
Not destroyed. There you are. And that's Poland Daily. We're here at the Łazienki Królewskie, the palace on the water in the center of Warsaw. What an interesting story. They put the sticks of dynamite here in these holes, but they didn't light them and destroy the building. It remained. Fascinating story. Fascinating story.
More to come.
Beautiful building. Okay, let's continue our walk.
Please.